How are you doing? Today is Tuesday, May 28th, and I am back with an update. It's been 2 weeks since my last one, so I hope you've all been doing well. If you're brand new here, welcome. My name is Olivia, and this is my YouTube channel, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. Today's video is going to be about cross-stitching. I know typically I will mix quilting in there, but unfortunately the only quilt I have to share for today's video is the one behind me, which is the Temecula Album Quilt by Temecula Quilt Company. I do hope that quilting will make its appearance again soon in the videos, but unfortunately I've just had no time to work on anything quilting related at all. As many of you guys know, I started a new job recently, and trying to find a new normal has been a little bit difficult. Also been in the process of getting the house ready for a graduation party and for company and all the things. We're about a little over a week away until my son Ethan graduates. I think this is his last full week. He goes 2 days next week, and then his graduation is on Friday, and they have all the senior activities that they'll be doing with them, and it's just a very bittersweet time. But so because of all of that and just everything going on, quilting has definitely taken a back seat. I do hope to return to it very soon. Because of everything that's going on, I've decided to take a little bit of a break in recording Flosstube videos. And I wanted to kind of let you guys know right off the bat. So my next Flosstube video will come out June 29th. And I realize that's about 4 weeks away. It's quite a long time. But for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be super busy. And then once company leaves, life will return to normal, where I will still be working, and then I will have my 3 days off. And so I do hope that things will calm down, and I'll be able to, or that we'll be able to get back into the swing of things. I am toying with the idea because the company that was coming in is not staying as long as they had originally said. So I'm toying with the idea of uploading a video just focusing on the mocking basket of whips and kind of talking about that. Don't hold me to it, but I am thinking about making that video because it's technically 1 year since I loaded up the mocking basket of whips full of all sorts of projects that are still waiting for me today. So it'd be kind of fun to go through all of them, look them over, talk about them, and then decide if I want to eject them from the mocking basket of whips or, you know, keep it on the list and then keep plowing away at all of them as time allows. However, for today's video, I will be sharing what I've been working on over the past 2 weeks. I do have a brand new finish to share that I'm super excited to show you guys. And then since I have gotten all of my past Patriotic finishes out to display around the house, I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a past Patriotic finish parade. So to kick today's video off, I thought it would be kind of fun to start with the finish that I had over the past couple of weeks, and that is Christmas in My Heart by Samplers Not Forgotten. I had made the decision at the beginning of May that I wanted to try to get this one done. By doing so, I kind of, because I have several assignments that I'm working on with a group of friends, I've been struggling to get those assignments done by the end of the month. So it probably wasn't a good idea to go for a second finish in May, but I really wanted to get this one done. This is one of the ones that I plan to take to Hobby Lobby and pick out a frame for. So I definitely did need to get it done. I haven't been to Hobby Lobby, haven't had a chance to do it, so I don't really know what the rush was, other than that I just wanted to have it done. I'm super excited that I finally finished it. I absolutely love it, and I cannot wait to have it on my wall this year at Christmas time. Probably will be one that I will leave up through part of the winter. I just love it. That massive behemoth house took forever, but it was absolutely worth it. I stitched it on the called for linen, which is a 40 count Vintage Meadow Rue by Lakeside. And I used all of the called for colors. It's just so spectacular. I love the vintage vibe it has. I love anything vintage, so this one definitely spoke to my heart. And I absolutely love it. It was a joy to work on. Every tiny little bit of this piece is just so beautiful. The pot, the house, the winding vine, the poinsettias, all of it. Christmas trees, the verse, I just love it. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks I can get to Hobby Lobby. I know it's going to be kind of busy for me, so maybe, you know, once things calm down, I can buzz over and take my 3 projects and pick out frames for them, because I would love to get them framed. Well, I do my own framing, but I would love to get the frames picked out for them, and then that way I can get them done and they just wait for their holidays. I love it. Love it, love it. So it was so much fun to work on. I was kind of sad when it was done, but it was equal parts sad and happy because I love it. Anyway, so this one moves into the finished column, and another project comes out of the Mocking Basket of Whip list, which makes me very happy. Because yesterday was Memorial Day here in the United States, it's not a new start, because I did start it in June last year when I started all the things. It's been hanging out in the Mocking Basket of Whip. So basically it's just me picking it up and continuing working on it until it gets done. But my friend Christine of Hollis Hands Creates started her summer stitch along, which is called Hollis's Summer Holidays Stitch Along. It runs from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And I think you're supposed to challenge yourself to finish your project by Labor Day, I think. I kind of briefly read that somewhere and I forgot to ask. Anyway, I'm just going to operate under the assumption that you're supposed to challenge yourself to finish it. She'll let me know if I'm wrong. But I think I will challenge myself to finish this particular project. It's not the one that I had originally picked for it, which was Your Grand Old Flag by Samplers Not Forgotten. I was kind of on the fence between these 2 projects of which one I wanted to work on, because I was worried that I would not be able to finish Your Grand Old Flag. So I asked my daughter Allison to pick one, and she picked this one, which is Flag Folk by Notforgotten Farms. So I started this one back last June when I started all the things, and I hardly had any of it worked on. I mean, I worked on it for one evening, or a partial evening, and all I had was like a tiny little corner. So last night I picked it up and I worked more on the flag. Again, it's not a tremendous amount of progress, but progress is progress. So I am going to challenge myself to finish this by Labor Day this year. I think it might be a little bit more doable than Your Grand Old Flag, although I do plan on working on Your Grand Old Flag this summer because I love it, and I recently saw a couple people finish it and I'm just absolutely in love with it. So pretty pleased with the progress that I made. I only worked on this for about an hour and 20 minutes last night, so I got, you know, a tiny little start. And I am stitching this on a piece of 36 count Eggshell by Fiber on a Whim, and I am using all of the called for threads, stitching it 1/2. So I think this will be a fun summer project. I love it. I'm using a working copy. I borrowed this chart from a friend, so I want to make sure that if I borrow somebody's chart, I'm only using working copies. I don't want it to get banged up and damaged in the project bag. So I think this one will be a lot of fun to work on. I've seen a lot of people finish it and I love it, and I'm glad that Allison picked this one for me to work on for the summer stitch along. I did work on My Houses of Popcorn Hollow by Carriage Samplings. This is an assignment project that I'm working on with a group of friends. We started the 5th block, which is this one. My progress on this is pretty sad. I had finished my Shores of Hawthorne Hollow block. I picked this one up and started working on it. I want to say I maybe stitched on it for a half an hour, and all I managed to do was do a little bit of the border, and that was it. So tonight, this will be in my Q-snap, and I'll be working on it. I have a long way to go because the assignment, I believe, is the top and the bottom. So it's like a grass area with some birds, and then there's I don't know, they're not pennants, but they're these little spiky things. I don't know if they represent clouds or what they are. And then there's a couple of birds, and so I have to stitch all of that. And the end of the month is what, 4 days away. So or 3 days away, 4 days away. So I have a lot of stitching to get done. And this is when I kind of regretted, going for that second finish in May, because usually I do all of my assignments first and then the rest of the month I work on other projects, and I did it in the reverse. Maybe not such a good idea. But I am stitching the houses of Hawthorne Hollow on a piece of 40 count Heritage by Picture This Plus, and I am using a variety of DMC threads, stitching it 1/2. My next project was Heartstring Samplery, his Eye on the Sparrow. I am stitching this on Sundays with my friend Michelle of Cozy Egg. I've worked on it 2 Sundays since my last video. Basically focused up in this area, and then there is one little bird down by the deer that I worked on. To me, when I show this like ta-da, this is what I got done, I feel like it's not a whole lot, but each motif takes a little while to stitch. But it's a lot of fun to work on. I love it. I also worked on one of the border flowers. I've been trying to make sure that I'm focusing or taking the time to work on the border as I'm working on this, because I don't want to, get a bunch of motifs and then have to go back up and work on the border. So as I work on this, I've been trying to make sure that I pop up and stitch a little bit of the border as I go along. I do really love working on this one, and I can't wait to eventually get it done in like 20 years. I love it. So I'm stitching his Eye on the Sparrow on a piece of 40 count One More Reproduction by Bee Stitch Me, and I am using all of the called for threads, stitching it 1/2. And I do love it. I also made a mistake on one of the birds and put the wrong color on. I debated for about 5 seconds in unstitching it and restitching it in the correct color, and I thought, with everything going on in this big beautiful sampler, that nobody would even notice that my bird is peach instead of mustard. So I love it. So fun to work on. The next bit of progress was on the Shores of Hawthorne Hollow by Carriage Samplings. I'm stitching this with a group of friends, and the assignment was to complete block number 2, which is this one here. I was able to do that. I felt like it took me a ridiculous amount of time to get the second block completed, but it's done and I'm happy. Probably not my favorite block to stitch, and maybe that was a little bit of my problem. Maybe I'm only happy when it's a big, ginormous, complicated house. But I'm super happy to have the second block done. I think the third block has been broken up into either 4 or 5 months. I kind of saw them talking about it in the group chat, and I also think it's one that we just break up ourselves and stitch it. So I'm looking forward to getting to that block here next month. But here's my progress on the Shores of Hawthorne Hollow, which I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count Prairie Grass by Seraphim Fabrics, and I am using a variety of DMC threads, stitching at 1/2. So looking forward to getting to block number 3, which is this house right here. And it is a humongous house. Very excited to get to it. And I just need to figure out how to break it up into 4 segments. So need to figure that out before I start working on it. The plan going forward for me for the month of June I did not bring it to show today, but I do want to try to get And Heaven and Nature Sing finished. I think I might wait until after I get my assignments done for the month. I also have to spend a little bit of time working on Sarah Stewart Hardman. I have not worked on her in 2 months. So Yvette and I decided to not do a humongous assignment on her, but just continue doing smaller ones. So that works really good for me. So I hope to return to her in June and just, little bits here and there, she'll eventually get done. So assignments and Heaven and Nature Sing, that is kind of my focus for June. So when I thought about today's video, I was a little bit worried about how much content I would have to share and show. And as you can see, I've shared the finish. I went through the progress that I'd made over the 2 weeks, and then technically that is where the video would have ended. Not a very long video, and I just was trying to find like ideas that I could do, and I started getting out all my Patriotic stuff, and I thought it's been a while since I have shared any of my past finishes, so now is the perfect time to show them again. Hope you guys won't mind seeing them. I know a few of them I finished last year, and then of course in previous years, if you guys have been with me for any length of time, you would have seen these pop up as I finished working on them. So I hope you guys won't mind that I am sharing them again. I'm really excited to be able to share them because I love them all. The first project to kick it all off is Liberty's Welcome by Plum Street Sampler. So I stitched this one a couple of years ago with my friend Yvette. It was our New Year, New Start. I think it took us about 6 months to finish it, but it was a blast to work on. I remember working on this during Ice-mageddon, and I was sitting on the couch in front of the window where it was the only source of light I had for the day because we had lost electricity, we had lost water, there was no heat, it was freezing cold, and I remember working on this while sitting in front of the window, freezing. This one lived a lot of life with me, and I love it. It hangs mainly year-round now. I do have plans to stitch the rest of them in the series, but I have been enjoying having this one up on the wall for the past couple of years. The frame I got off of Etsy. I think it was Rusty Roof on Etsy, and I did the framing myself. I stitched it on a piece of, I think, 36 count Heartland by Picture This Plus, and I used the DMC conversion that is listed on the chart. But I love this one, and I'm so happy that I have it done. A lot of people started this on Memorial Day, and I loved seeing it pop up again. It just brought back such great memories. So love this one. This next project, I cannot remember what the name of it was. It came out of a magazine. It was designed by Blackbird Designs. I tried to go back into my Instagram last night to find what its name was. I passed the magazine chart on to a friend, and I cannot remember what the name of this was. If anyone knows, let me know down in the comments. I will confess that I got distracted and quit looking and realized right now that I forgot to go track down the name. If I think about it over the next couple of days, I will scroll it down below. But it came out of a magazine, just cross-stitching, I think. Again, I will double check on that. But I remember I stitched it. I had it finished for a couple of years before I fully finished it into a pillow. And I used a variety of threads that I had in my stash because I think this particular project was charted in silks. Finished it into a little pillow, and as soon as today's video is over, I will rearrange Ye Old Trench Bowl, and this will go in it. My next project is Lady Liberty by With Thy Needle and Thread. Stitched this one not too long after I got back into cross stitching. I did do a bunch of substituting. I used DMC threads. I stitched it on a 36 count, I think. It was Blue Smoke that I then tea coffee dyed. I had finished it kind of a la Priscilla style, where I used 2 pieces of sticky board, washers, magnets, and I had it attached to a frame. And my original thought had been to stitch similar sized designs and then change the frame out seasonally. I never got any farther than this particular one. Had it out maybe 1 or 2 years, and then I just really did not like the finish. I put it in a drawer and kind of forgot about it. And then a couple of years ago, I know it wasn't last year, it was the year before, I had been going through redoing old finishes, and I picked up a board from Homestead Needleworks on Etsy. April, she makes amazing boards. I love them. They speak to my primitive loving heart. Purchased a board for this piece and then refinished it. I absolutely love it. So happy that I did that, because it's no fun when you work on something and then you just stick it in a drawer and forget about it. You put a lot of work, time, effort, money, all that into a piece, and you should find a way to display it that you love. So I was glad that I had redone the finish. I love it. I enjoy having it out during the summer. Such a wonderful, I just love it. It's just such a wonderful finish. It just makes me so happy. I apologize if I seem a little bit out of breath or rushed. I keep running out to the other room to pull these off the wall. And I also keep staring at the clock because my husband, he is at the dentist, and when he gets home, we're supposed to go to the dump. So I'm trying to get today's video done before he gets back. So my next previous finish is Liberty House by With Thy Needle and Thread. I stitched this one, I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. It's one that I fell in love with while watching Carol, Saltbox Stitcher. In a couple of videos years ago, she had it kind of sitting over her shoulder, and I would just watch her video and stare at it. And I finally decided to stitch it for myself. I did it on a piece of 36 count gray by Weeks Dye Works. I used the majority of the called for threads, but I do remember pulling the alphabet out and restitching it something darker because it was not showing up very good. But I love it. I used a thrift shop frame that I had my husband cut down for me, painted it black, and I gave it a little sheen with some, I can't think what that stuff is called. Can't think what it's called, but it gives a, you put it on and it gives like kind of a metallic sheen. You guys are probably screaming at me. It completely has escaped my mind what it's called. But I love this finish, and I'm so happy that I have this one done too, because it was another project that I'd been wanting to do for years, and I just was so super happy to, to have it finished, and now it hangs up on my wall in the other room. The next one comes from the Scarlet House, and this is called American Farmhouse. I remember starting this one when I first got back into cross stitching, and I was not used to stitching on a darker piece of linen, which this is, I think, 40 count ale. It's either 36 or 40 count. But I started this and I kind of abandoned the project. And then when I was going through the Mocking Basket of Whips, trying to complete everything a couple of years ago, this was one that I pulled out and completed and celebrated its finish. It's amazing when you first get into cross stitching and you're learning everything, and you're learning about all the counts of linen and all the designers and everything. You first struggle when you're working on a count of linen you've never worked on. I mean, it was a dark, in my eyes, it was a dark piece of linen. I was struggling with it, and then I picked it up and it was like no problem because I had years of experience in between when I first started it and when I picked it up again. So super happy to have this one done too. I think I finished it would have been the year before last. Thrift shop frame that I painted black, and it also hangs out in the other room. I love it. I used all of the called for threads. I think it was one of the very first projects that I had purchased the called for linen and threads for. So super happy to have that one done too, and I love having it up on my wall. In fact, these two, Liberty House and American Farmhouse, are together on the same wall, and every year I kind of move stuff around, so nothing is ever in the same place twice. The next finish was one that I had stitched for Ye Old Trench Bowl, and that is Old Glory by Daisy K's Primitives. I remember she showed this in her Flosstube video, I want to say back in 2020, and I remember running right over and purchasing it and pulling some linen from my stash and stitching it. It stitched up super quick. When I got it done, I added some faux rusty safety pins just for a little primitive look. But I absolutely love getting this one out every year. I stitched it on a piece of 36 count linen from my stash. Want to say I used DMC threads, but I loved working on it. It was so much fun. I love that it stitched up really quick. I will put a link to Christy's Etsy shop if you are interested in purchasing it. She also has other charts available for purchase as well. So much fun. My next finish was one I think I stitched last year. The Fat Quarter Shop was doing a Patriotic stitch along and I decided to join. This is the USA Forever stamp by the Fat Quarter Shop. I think once you stitch the USA, the flowers, and then the heart, that's the American flag, there was a scalloped border that went around it, but I decided just to stitch it as it was and finish it into kind of this long pillow. It's not perfect. I had this bright idea to use some of this red ticking. It's not perfect, but I love how it turned out. I used some rickrack from my stash that I had tea coffee dyed. I also used some vintage buttons that my grandma had given me and attached it to the leftover rickrack and the buttons with a faux rusty safety pin. So this one was a lot of fun. I do remember switching out the colors that I used. I think they had it charted in DMC, and then I changed it to overdyed floss from my stash, or overdyed threads. I shouldn't call it floss, overdyed threads from my stash. I also stitched it on a piece of linen. I want to say it was Eggshell by Fiber on a Whim. So this one was fun to work on. It only took me a couple of evenings, but so fun. And then I finished it into the pillow, and it too goes into the trench bowl, or it will. Next project is In Full Glory by Blackbird Designs. This one I stitched a couple of years ago. I think I stitched on a piece of 36 count gray by Weeks Dye Works, and I think I used a variety of threads from my stash. So a couple of things I wish I would have done differently with this one. I feel like it's very faded, and I wish I would have bumped the colors up and made them a little bit more saturated. But other than that, I love it. I mean, I do love it. I'm not going to restitch it again, but I kind of wish that I could go back in time and just kind of tweak the colors a little bit. Also, when I was getting this piece out of the bin the other day, I kind of wished I would have framed it instead of finishing it into a small, but I am not going to change it. Instead, there is another chart because I think this was part of a Rewards of Merit series, but they reprinted it. Blackbird Designs reprinted it into a booklet. And in that same booklet, there is a house that's white. I think it says America, and it's got like other stuff with it. And that one eventually I would like to stitch, and then I'll frame that one. But I do love it. I'm glad I have it done. Just wish I could go back in time and just play with the colors a little bit. Next project is called Blue House Neighborhood by Cherry Hill Stitchery. And I decided to finish mine into a drum. I think when I decided to work on this piece, I did it as a stitch along, and then made the decision to finish it into a drum. I think I had been going kind of drum crazy. I just was turning anything I could into a drum that year. But I enjoyed working on this one. I think I stitched it on a piece of doubloon by Picture This Plus, and I used the called for threads. And I love it. It's not perfect, but I do love it. And so when it sits out in the house, it sits like this. And then you know, I'm not sure where I'm going to put it this year, but I know I always set it this way. And then that way, as you're walking by, you see the house and then you see the other house. So I loved working on this one. It was a lot of fun. I wish I could remember what year I did, but I do know this is still available from Cherry Hill Stitchery, and I'll put a link to, I believe they have an Etsy shop. It's been a while since I've perused her patterns, but I know she's got a ton more, and I think she was kind of a new designer, and she shared her chart with me, or she sent me her chart for me to stitch on. And I think since then she has really exploded as a designer. So I'll put a link, if she still has an Etsy shop, I'll put a link to it down below. But it was a lot of fun to stitch. Didn't take very long. I think I worked on it for a couple of weeks. I did it as a stitch along. I think it was called the Blue House Neighborhood Sal or something like that. But it was loads of fun, and I had a blast doing it. My next project is Hats Off to Uncle Sam by Blackbird Designs. So this project I had saw on Flosstube. It probably was Carol Saltbox Stitcher. I purchased the kit from Country Sampler, started stitching it. It did not take very long to stitch up. I want to say it was a maybe 32 count because I used 2 strands. Whatever the kit, whatever the chart has listed, that I believe is what was used. It's Murky by Picture This Plus. I want to say 32 count. And then the directions tell you how to make it into a drum, which this was my first drum that I ever made. It was like super easy to do. I was so happy because I had never done a drum finish in my entire life. So very, very happy that, you know, it went as smoothly as it did. There are some beads that I put on there that were beads that my grandma had given me. And I love it. It was so much fun to put together. All of the supplies to make the little hat you can pick up at Hobby Lobby. So usually in the off season, the little drum is inside the hat, and then like now I will have them somehow displayed near each other. But this one was a lot of fun to put together. Again, you can get all the supplies from Hobby Lobby. They're listed on the chart. So loads of fun. Loved working on that one. I know sometimes after the 4th of July is over, I will leave this out until Halloween because I just, you know, it's summer, so I leave it out for summer. But I loved it. It was so much fun to stitch up. And if it's still available at the Country Sampler as a kit, I will put a link to it. But I believe that you can still get all of everything to stitch it for yourself on the internet. So I was super confident in my drum skills after finishing the first one because, I mean, it turned out amazing. So I made a go at another drum finish, which did not go so well. And that is Happy Birthday America by With Thy Needle and Thread. This one I had purchased as a kit from Stitcher's Garden. So it came with the little cake stand. This is the top of a paper mache box. So you got, I believe, the paper mache box, and then you got this little wooden, thingamabob. And then you attach the two of them, then you attach the two of them together, and then you made the drum, and then the drum sits on it. So this part, super easy. This part, humongous pain in the butt. And I almost wish that I could take it apart and redo it, but I don't hate it that much. So it's just whenever I look at it, I just think that I was learning how to do drums. I still make 100 million mistakes when I make a drum, but it was a great learning experience. So I do love this one. It turned out great. Again, I bought it as a kit from Stitcher's Garden. So it came with the stand. It came with the chart. The chart had this bit of alphabet that wraps around it. Came with the threads, and then the rickrack, or not rickrack, but the pom-pom trim, which I think is a Lady Dots Creates pom-pom trim. So it turned out really good. I love it. And, you know, even though it's got 100 million mistakes. Not too long after I had got back into cross stitching, I had got a subscription to a cross stitch magazine. I just cross stitching. I can't remember what the name of it is. It's I can like picture it in my mind. I just can't picture the name. I think it was just cross stitching. I don't know. You guys are probably screaming at me, but I've completely drawn a blank. But when I got a subscription to the magazine, it gave you access to their archives. And of course, I was watching Flosstube. Someone showed it, said the issue that it had come out on. So I went and I looked and I immediately printed it off and started it. And that is Knee High by Hands On Design. It is still available. I mean, it's widely available now because she went in and reprinted it. So you can get it at 123 Stitch. I mean, you can get it everywhere now. But it was one of the first handful of projects that I stitched when I first got back into cross stitching. It was done on a 28 count linen. Not sure the count, or not sure the name of the linen. It would have been something that I purchased from 123 Stitch. So I mean, I don't remember what it was called. It's a Zweigart. That's kind of all I remember, and I only know that because I popped the back off and I looked to see if there was the red or the orange stripe that marks it as a Zweigart linen, and that's what it was. So some sort of a Zweigart linen. Stitched it with DMC, and I stitched it 2/2. So this is one that I had finished in sort of a Priscilla style with 2 or 3 pieces of mat board. It was attached by magnets to something. I don't remember what it was. I think I had it out the first year and then it went in a drawer and just kind of forgot about it. So when I was refinishing things, I had some leftover pieces of frame from another project, and they were just big enough to make into a frame for this one. So I painted it red. I think I might go in and kind of tone the red down a little bit, but for right now, it's fine. And I love it. And I'm so happy that, you know, I can have it out and enjoy it during summer. One of the designers that quickly stood out to me when I got back into cross stitching was Plum Street Sampler, and she has a series. They're a seasonal series, so there's like Hello Fall, Hello Winter, Hello Spring, and Hello Summer. And I decided to purchase all 4 of the seasons and then stitch them seasonally. So the first one I had started with was Hello Summer. I think this might have been the only one that had the wording at the bottom. All the other ones just have this. So this one I stitched with a variety of threads that I pulled from my stash, most likely DMC. I just tried to match them as best I could. And then the linen, I want to say, is maybe a flax or, you know, something. I did not keep track of what I was using when I first got back into stitching. I believe it is a 36 count, and I stitched it 2/2. So I do like the texture of this piece. So again, when I was kind of going through and reframing all the ones that I had sort of abandoned to the drawer, I had a piece of leftover wood. So I forget what project it was, but these 2 come from the same, you'll have to excuse Fred. I bumped the table and he thinks somebody knocked at the door. But we're going to keep going. Right, Fred? Okay. So these 2 came from the same piece of wood, and I had made a frame for something else, and it was enough for these 2 to be done with the same pieces of wood. So that one I painted red, and this one I painted black, kind of roughed it up with some sandpaper. And all of the seasonal ones I get out as the seasons change. This one hangs up across the room. There's like a basket that's got flowers, and this one hangs up right above it. And I love it. I'm so happy that I reframed it. The next finish is actually the last one that I have to show today. Before I show it, the chart itself is very much out of print. I do not have the chart anymore. I remember when I was working on it, when I first started working on it, you could get it everywhere, and then it went out of print, and then people were scrambling, trying to find it, and those that had it were selling it for a ridiculously inflated price. And yeah, now it's just very much out of print. Please do not send me an email asking for it. I do not have it. Also, this particular finish is one that should zombies descend upon us and some sort of a zombie apocalypse, I will be ripping this down off the wall. She will accompany me. Hands down, this is my all-time favorite project that I have stitched. Out of all of the projects that I have stitched, this is the one that I love the most. And that is my Queen of Freedom. So when I first started working on her, you could get the chart. It was available everywhere. And then it went out of print when I started working on her with my friend Christy of Crosshatch Quilts. We always, as we were working on it, we were joking that we had twin sisters. So I love knowing that her twin sister is in Utah. But I absolutely loved working on this piece so much. She was such a joy. I think I finished her before Memorial Day of 2020, I think. The years go by so fast and it's hard to keep track of everything. I got the frame from Michael's. I went to go pick it up, and down here on the bottom, you could see a pin sticking out. So I was so excited to go get it. It had been like 2 weeks, and I had to wait another week for it to get taken apart and repinned. And I was just so irritated because I wanted it on my wall. I was so excited to have it done. And then I had to leave it behind and wait another week. But then it came home and it hangs in the other room. It hangs up year round, and I love seeing her every day. I never get tired of seeing her up on the wall. So I stitched Queen of Freedom on a piece of 32 count, I think it was Sahara, which is it was by Zweigart. And I stitched it with all of the called for DMC, all of the beads, all the everything. And I stitched it 2/2. And I just absolutely love her. I keep thinking that I need to stitch another Mirabilia. Every once in a while I get an itch to do it, but I told myself that I have to stitch the Celtic, is it the Celtic Angels or the Celtic Ladies? Because I have 3 of them and I need to stitch those first before I start another Mirabilia. But if I did start a Mirabilia, it would be the Gypsy Queen. I don't have the Gypsy Queen. I don't have any of any of it, but that is the one that I probably would stitch. So anyway, loved working on this one. She is my favorite. She hangs up year round out in the other room. And every day I see her, I just love her. She's so absolutely fabulous. Before I say goodbye for today's video, I do have a little bit of mail that I want to show. I did a little bit of purchasing, and I have been kind of, well, this particular one, I pulled it and I decided to kit it. I purchased this during market from Hollis Hands Creates, and that is the Proverbs 31 sampler by Plum Street. So I do have it fully kitted with all of the threads, and I was looking for the called for linen, which is a Ligonier Latte, 36 count. And I ended up finding some on Christine, Hollis Hands Creates Etsy shop. So I purchased it and it came really quickly. But here is what the linen looks like. So it's just a really great neutral. It is by R&R Reproductions. So I will be stitching Proverbs 31 sampler on it. I'm not sure when I will start it, but I would like to start it kind of soon because it is pretty cool. It's not that big. I am going to frame it when I get it done. But yeah, I would like to kind of start it soon. We'll have to see because I have a lot of projects that I kind of want to work on. And, you know, I am going to be visiting the Mocking Basket of Whips, and so she usually kind of whips me into shape, but I would kind of like to start on that one sometime soon. And because my threads could not travel alone, I decided to pick up Pomegranate Manor by Samplers Not Forgotten. I've had this one on my wish list for quite a while, and I saw it was on sale, so I decided to go ahead and get it. And since I was getting it, I decided to pick up the 36 Havana and the called for threads to stitch it with. So it's not very big. I love it. It's got a big, beautiful white house. It's got the crows and it's got a vase. It's not as big as Christmas in my heart. It's quite a bit smaller. But I do hope to maybe try to find some time this fall to start it and get it finished in time for Christmas. If it doesn't happen, that's okay. But I do really like this one. I'm glad that I decided to get it because I've seen it finished a couple of different times and I just absolutely love it. So looking forward to starting that down the road. And then I received a lovely package from Therese. She had an extra copy of Morning Gatherings by Kim Deal. I think she had said she had purchased it from the Fat Quarter Shop and they had accidentally sent her two, so they just told her to go ahead and give it away. So she sent it to me because I'm a huge Kim Deal fan and I do really love this quilt. It's very spectacular. I believe it is made out of the Autumn Farmhouse collection by Kim Deal. So I love it. So someday, this is going to go on my someday list, but I do love it. And I watched Kim Deal kind of put it together. And someday, it's beautiful. So if you haven't seen it in its entirety, I definitely just look up Morning Gatherings by Kim Deal and it should pop right up. But thank you so much, Therese. Can't wait to work on this one. I have a lot of quilts ahead of it. I was out in the pit of the despair the other day, kind of organizing everything, and I have a lot of quilts that I need to get crack-a-lackin' on. So this one I'm just going to put at the end, but I definitely want to make that one because it's really, really pretty. So thank you so very much. I did receive a package from the Fat Quarter Shop, and these items are available now on the Fat Quarter Shop's website. I'll put a link to their shop down below. The first one is Springtime Ornaments by It's So Emma. These ones are really, really cute, all spring themed and adorable. Next is Be in My Bonnet Stitch Cards Set T by Lori Holt, Be in My Bonnet. Very cute. The Quilted Scarecrow Cross Stitch by Lori Holt. I watched her put the quilt together because I follow her on Instagram, and I watched this quilt kind of come to life, and it's really, really cute. And also they sent me the Quilted Scarecrow quilt pattern. So cute. Everything Lori Holt does is just so cute. The next one is a Wintertime Cross Stitch by It's So Emma. Very, very adorable. I believe this one was part of their Stitch Quarterly back in the winter. I love it. Such a cute polar bear. And this next one is called February Hearts. It is a monthly cross stitch series. This is Shelf Life number 2 of 12. Very cute. So if you love farmhouse, mason jars, and a good series, this one would be the series for you. They also sent me number 3, which is March's Bird. Adorable. And number 4, April's Rainy Day. Cute. And those are all designed by It's So Emma. And the last one is called Lacy Daisy by It's So Emma. It is a cross stitch pattern, kind of like a mosaic-y type pattern. Very, very cute. So thank you so very much to the Fat Quarter Shop for sending those items my way. And again, all of those are available on the Fat Quarter Shop's website, and I'll put a link to the shop down below. Okay, friends, well, that is all I have to show and share in today's video. Hope you liked today's video and all of the past finishes. It's always a lot of fun to sort of revisit them again and talk about them and all that. So I had a lot of fun making today's video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm still kind of deciding if I do want to pop in a video in between now and the 29th when my next Flosstube video comes out, talking about the Mocking Basket of Whips. So if that's something that you would like to see, let me know down below, because I'm thinking I'll go over the projects, look at them, decide if I want to continue on with them, because sometimes when you're starting a bunch of things, you're really excited about it, but then you get back to it and you wish you would have done it a little bit differently, whether you wish you had different linens or threads. And I know that's the case with one of them. So it'd be good to kind of like go through, revisit all of them again and kind of see if I want to continue or if I want to stop and, kind of re-pull things. So I think it would be an interesting video. Let me know if you want to see the mocking basket of whips, let me know down below. I don't, if I do the video, I don't know when it would pop up, but it would be sometime in between today's video and the video that comes out on the 29th, because technically June is the 1 year anniversary of me starting all the things that ended up in there. So let me know. I'll go based on your feedback. How does that sound? Okay. So the plan for me will be to come back on June 29th and share what I have been working on. And I pray that there's stuff to show you guys. I definitely know there will be cross stitching, but once I get past Ethan's graduation, my brother is only staying that weekend, and then him and his family are leaving and they're heading down to California. So they're not going to be here for the 2 weeks that they originally were supposed to be. So life should return to normal, and I should be able to return to a schedule again where I am taking time to make quilts, because I miss it. I go out to the pit of despair and I see all the wonderful kits and the fabrics and everything, and I just want to sit down and cut out a quilt and make it. And I also have a client quilt that I need to work on as soon as I'm able to. So anyway, I'll be back on June 29th. I hope you will come back and see what I have been up to. I have so many plans of things that I want to work on, projects I want to work on, things I want to do, and I just want to get to it, but I have to get over this last little hurdle. And also the good news is by the time I get through the graduation, I think the only thing we're planning on doing is ordering a load of bark dust, but everything I plan on buying for the flower beds, I've bought and I'm done as of his graduation. So I won't have like gardening that I need to do other than maintaining the beds. And so I should get extra time. Also, I was so dumb, and I had taken time off around Ethan's graduation. So the week of his graduation, I was only supposed to work 2 days. And then they came out and asked if I'd be willing to work on Monday and Tuesday. And I was like, sure, totally. Not realizing that I would work these 4 days, have Sunday off, and then I have to work 4 days. And then I get his time off for his graduation. It was so dumb of me because I have so much to do. And I don't know why I did that. So dumb. Dumb. Anyway, it's fine. Everything's going to get done. Anyway. Thank you so very much for stopping by today. If you would like to see what I'm up to in between my videos, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. I do have a Facebook page called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting, and I will put a link to both of those places down below. Thank you so very much for stopping by today. I hope you had a great Memorial Day, and I hope you have a wonderful start to your June, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.